What if the woman cutting meat in a crowded market today walks into a billionaire's mansion tomorrow as his wife, not because of love, but because of a contract that was never supposed to become real? Stay with this story till the very end, because what begins as a cold business deal turns into a transformation that shocks elites, breaks families, and rewrites destiny. And if you love intense romance, shocking reveals, and stories where underestimated women rise beyond imagination, hit subscribe now, because this is a journey you don't want to miss. No one in the wed market ever imagined that the quiet butcher girl with sharp eyes and steady hands would become the most talked about woman in the city, least of all Lin Xiaoyu herself, who had spent her entire life waking before dawn, tying her hair back, washing blood from her hands, and cutting meat with a precision learned from her late father, surviving in a world that looked down on her for smelling like iron and work while dreaming of nothing beyond paying rent and keeping her dignity intact, until the day a line of black luxury cars rolled into the narrow street like a mistake, drawing every eye as a tall, cold-faced man in a tailored black suit stepped out, his presence slicing through the noise of the market sharper than any blade. And when his gaze locked onto Xiaoyu's, it was not desire that sparked but calculation, because Liang Chen, CEO of Chen Global Holdings, was a man cornered by a ruthless board, a dying grandfather, and a clause in his inheritance contract that demanded marriage within 3 months or the empire he built would be taken from him. And standing there between hanging cuts of meat and shouting vendors, he saw something no debutante or socialite had given him: honesty, backbone, and a woman untouched by the games of his world. So when he asked her to talk privately and offered her a contract marriage worth more money than she had ever seen, Xiaoyu laughed in his face at first, thinking it was a cruel joke, until she read the terms. 1-year marriage, separate rooms, public appearances only, generous compensation, and absolute protection from interference. And though fear clawed at her, so did anger at a life that had never given her a fair hand. And after a night of staring at her cracked ceiling and thinking of debts, insults, and limits placed on her because of where she came from, she signed, stepping into a world that immediately despised her, where society women whispered behind wine glasses, tabloids called her a gold digger, and Liang Chen's own mother tried to buy her silence with a check larger than the market's annual revenue. Yet what stunned everyone was not her survival but her transformation, because Xiaoyu did not become soft or submissive. She learned, observed, adapted, wearing elegant dresses without losing her spine, speaking little but listening deeply. And the night she appeared at the Chen family gala in a simple black gown, hair elegantly styled, posture calm and eyes unflinching, the room fell silent, not because she looked like a princess, but because she carried herself like a queen who had always belonged. And Liang Chen, who had expected to babysit a pretend wife, found himself unsettled by how naturally she stood at his side, how she defended him with quiet words when rivals provoked him, how she saw through deals and people with the same instinct she used to judge meat, slowly blurring the line between performance and reality. Yet just as feelings crept in, the first twist struck when Xiaoyu discovered the true reason he had chosen her. Not coincidence, but investigation, because her father's butcher shop once stood on land stolen by a shell company linked to Chen Global years ago, meaning her suffering was indirectly tied to his empire. And when she confronted him, rage shaking her usually steady hands, Liang Chen did not deny it, instead offering money and apologies that only deepened the wound, leading Xiaoyu to walk out, breaking the contract publicly and becoming the laughingstock of high society overnight. But instead of returning defeated, she vanished, using the education clause hidden in the contract to study business and finance abroad, returning months later not as a butcher, not as a CEO's wife, but as the mysterious investor behind a rival firm that began buying up Chen Global shares piece by piece, forcing Liang Chen into the same helpless position she once stood in, until the truth emerged that Xiaoyu had not acted out of revenge alone but justice, uncovering corruption within Chen Global's board that had caused both her father's death and the company's rot. And when the final confrontation came at an emergency shareholders meeting, Xiaoyu walked in calm and radiant, laying evidence on the table that shocked the city, saving the company while dismantling the very people who had mocked her. And as chaos erupted, Liang Chen realized the woman he thought he hired had outgrown him, not by becoming someone else, but by becoming fully herself. And when he finally confessed that the marriage had stopped being fake long ago for him, Xiaoyu did not forgive him easily, making him earn her trust in the only way that mattered: honesty without power, love without contracts. And in the end, when they remarried without cameras, clauses, or conditions, it was not a CEO saving a butcher, but two equals choosing each other, leaving the world stunned not by her stunning looks, but by the undeniable truth that the sharpest blade in the room had always been her mind, her courage, and her refusal to stay small.